On the first day, man was granted a soul, and with it, clarity. On the second day, upon earth was planted an irrevocable poison, a soul-devouring demon. Out of all of the games in the Souls series, the Demon Souls opening stands out the most to me, especially the beginning part. I may have narrated it for this video, but in the actual intro there is no narration. Just the grandiose yet ominous musical score to go along perfectly with a melancholy text that briefly summarizes what you're getting yourself into. Despite the fact that I've seen this intro so many times, I still find my jaw dropping as the massive demon carrying a corpse flies over the land, shrouding it in darkness. This intro, however, is not the only thing that stands out to me. There's something special about this game as a whole, and with the remake coming out tomorrow alongside the PS5 itself, I thought that there would be no better time to make this video. I've mentioned in previous videos that Dark Souls 3 was the first game in the series that I ever played. In fact, out of the entire series, Demon Souls was actually the last one that I played and beat. Like the other games in the series, Demon Souls left a lasting impression on me after beating it, but as I previously mentioned, I felt that there was something special here. Something more. It may be possible that I felt this way as a result of the hype surrounding the remake, as I first beat the game after the remake was initially announced, and while that may be part of it, that's not the entire reason. The gameplay is what you'd expect from a game of this series. The combat is tight, responsive, challenging, and satisfying. You'll be dodge rolling through attacks, parrying and riposting, learning enemy and boss attack patterns, using light attacks and heavy attacks, and much more. There are a wide variety of different weapons and armor to choose from that you can use to slay demons and reap their souls. When you die, or leave and return to an area, all of the enemies that you killed return. If you die once, you can attempt to return to where you died and recover your souls, but die again before recovering them, and they are forever lost. These souls are your XP as well as your currency, and at times, you'll have to make tough decisions. Do you want to level up, or spend your souls on items, or new spells, miracles, pyromancy, magic user? Do you want to level up, or spend your souls on upgrading your weapons? Obviously, you want to have a balance of leveling up and buying what you need. As for actually leveling up, you don't simply spend souls and it levels up all of your attributes. No, you choose which attributes you want to level up. This feature allows you to build your character around any playstyle that you desire and goes perfectly with the variety of weapons and magic available as they scale with different skills. You want to use fast attacking weapons while casting magic? Level up dexterity, magic, and or faith. You want to use weapons that are slow but hit like semi-trucks? Level up strength. Levels also cost more souls as you level up. You really feel as though you're constantly progressing, because as your own prowess with the game grows, so too does your character, and it's an amazing feeling to overcome an area or boss you've been stuck on. A huge variety of playstyles and New Game Plus really add a ton of replayability to the game, and while you choose a class at the beginning, this only affects your character initially. You can kill nearly any NPC, and there are 2 endings to the game, allowing you to make moral decisions as well. If you've played any of the games in the Souls series, then you'll know that all of these features are in all of them. But Demon's Souls was the first one, so we owe all of these features in this entire series and genre to this game. There are actually a couple of gameplay features that are unique to this game, such as inventory weight, meaning that you need to store stuff at the Nexus hub area so that you don't become overburdened. There's also the world tendency feature, which makes it so that if you die in an area too many times, that area will move towards a black world tendency and become harder. The reverse is also true. Surviving for a long time in an area and defeating a boss will move that area towards a white world tendency and become easier. Speaking of bosses, in Dark Souls, defeating many of the bosses is based purely on your reflexes. In Demon's Souls, this is still emphasized, however, many of the bosses have a gimmick, and not in a bad way. Think of the Legend of Zelda bosses, where the boss has some kind of weakness that you need to exploit. The Tower Knight, for example, is massive and takes barely any damage, but strike at his ankles enough, and he'll fall over, allowing you to hit his head for massive damage. While there are some bosses like this in the other Souls games, it's more prevalent here. My only gripes with the gameplay is that there's only 4 directional rolling, and the game is kind of clunky, but then again, this is the first Souls game, so I'll cut it some slack. All of these quality of life features are going to be addressed in the remake anyways. There are 6 Archstones in Demon's Souls that will take you to the different locations around the Kingdom of Boletaria.
1. To the king of a small yet diligent land. 1. To the king of the burrowers underground. 1. To the wise queen of the great ivory tower. 1. To the chieftain of lost and ill-fortuned souls. 1. To the shaman of the tempest-worshipping shadowmen. And the last, to the great giants of the northern lands.
Now, if you play the game, you'll notice that one of the Archstones is actually broken. This would be the Archstone that would lead to the northern lands, and sadly this was cut content. The 5 Archstones that we do get to go to are all very different locations that all have a unique feel. There's the main Boletarian Palace that has fallen from its former glory, Stonefang Tunnel that goes deep into the earth, the Tower of Latria, which is this dark and gritty tower with abominations like the Mind Flayers lurking around in the dark halls, the Shrine of Storms where it's storming and there are these flying manta ray-like creatures attacking from above, as well as skeletons everywhere, and finally the Valley of Defilement, with its maze-like design and disgusting creatures. Each of these Archstones have 3 bosses within the locale, and the beauty is that initially you have to go through the first part of the Boletarian Palace, but after that you can play the Archstones in any order you want, with the exceptions of needing the soul of an Archdemon to progress to the area past the second boss in the Boletarian Palace, and needing all 5 of the Archdemon souls to beat the game. On top of having unique atmospheres, all of the locations have unique designs with secrets, items, and NPCs to be found as you explore them, as well as having intricately interwoven shortcuts. Again, the interconnectedness and unique atmospheres of the locales are all features that are common in the Souls games, and you have Demon's Souls to thank for that. While there is a path that most people follow to beat the game, again, you can do it any way you want. It's comparable to the Mega Man games, how most people follow a certain path, but you're free to take whatever path you want. And while other games in the Souls series give you the option of what path you want to take to the end of the game, in Demon's Souls, it's more prevalent and the game makes it clear to you after you beat the first boss in the Boletarian Palace. Now, I'm not an expert with any of the Souls games lore, however, I do know a bit, and I personally love the Demon's Souls lore. There's a ton here, and the game uses environmental storytelling and item descriptions to fill you in on the more minute details, but I'm simply going to explain the overall background and story and why I love it. VaatiVidya, the god of lore when it comes to the Souls games, has a video going over the origins of Demon Souls, and it starts with a quote from George Santayana. "Those who do not remember the past are condemned to repeat it. When mankind was created, they were gifted a soul that allowed them to perceive the world around them. However, whatever created man also created a soul-devouring demon known as the Old One. As mankind prospered, they learned to unlock the potential of the soul, and the world was united owing to the soul arts. This lust for power awakened the Old One from its slumber, and a deep, colorless fog swept through the land, bringing with it a horde of demons that fed on the souls of man to reclaim for the Old One. Against all odds, some humans managed to lull the Old One back to its slumber, but by this point, half of the world was erased by the fog. This event came to be known as the First Scourge, and in its aftermath, the fabric of the world was unstable. Monumentals were appointed to the Nexus, which is a central point connected to 6 corners of the kingdom. The Monumentals sacrificed themselves and became half-living sentinels of reality. Peace was had for a while, and the soul arts were banned so that the Old One would never be awakened again. The kingdom of Boletaria rose again without the knowledge of the soul arts and was ruled by King Allant XII. King Allant was a ruler who cared deeply for his subjects and fought valiantly against the remaining demons from the First Scourge. In his old age, Allant grew melancholy, and while the soul arts had been forgotten by most, they still existed. Eventually, Allant discovered the Nexus and learned the soul arts. With the knowledge of the soul arts reclaimed, Boletaria experienced unprecedented prosperity, but Allant wanted more. He ventured once again to the Nexus and awoke the Old One below, and so begins the Second Scourge. The fog spreads once more, and Boletaria is in despair and overrun by demons. No one has heard from the king, and as the fog spreads, people outside of Boletaria hear rumors, and warriors from elsewhere speak of the power of demon souls, and so they venture into the fog, never to be seen again. The fog will eventually engulf the world, but mankind has one final hope. You. Has the land found its savior, or have the demons found a new slave? I'm not going to go into any further detail in this video, but I really like this premise, and I think that the theme of mankind repeating history is a very powerful and relevant message. Everything you do throughout the course of this game builds upon the lore, as well as all of the NPCs that you'll meet and the descriptions of the items that you'll collect. Typical video game things are explained with the lore as well. For example, dying and respawning is not just because it's a video game, it's because your soul is bound to the Nexus. Die once and you'll enter your phantom form. Die again in phantom form and you'll lose your sanity. But what makes Demon Souls lore stand out amongst its peers? Honestly, it's hard for me to say. As much as I love the other games in the series and their worlds and lore, there's just something about the world and lore of Demon Souls that just speaks to me and intrigues me more than its peers. If you feel the same way, let me know in the comments section. Let's get a discussion going. Whether Demon Souls is my favorite of the Souls games, I'm not sure, but what I do know is that Demon Souls came at a time in the gaming landscape where handholding was commonplace, and while this was fine for many, there was a large group of gamers who wanted a game that was tough, where they could figure things out for themselves and be treated as adults. For many, that game was Demon Souls. The game that was initially labeled a failure in Japan struck a chord with people and created a new genre that would forever change the gaming landscape. The structure of the game, the world, the lore, the enemies, the memorable bosses, the characters, and the overall experience that this game gives you is what separates it from its peers to me. It's really a shame that for the longest time Dark Souls got all the credit while Demon Souls, the first of its kind, was neglected and forgotten. But with the PS5 remake coming out tomorrow, it seems that Demon Souls will finally get the recognition that it has always deserved.